Nutanix gives our customers the freedom to build anything that they want to accommodate everything that they need.
There hasn't been anything this innovative for years. Let's combine everything, have this appliance, click, 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 deliver your applications, simplifying the whole data center stack.
Nutanix has helped us to innovate our stack, automate our stack, and basically free us from the normal daily grind.
Freedom to cloud means that you have the possibility to deploy your workload wherever you want. If it's on-prem, or is it on AWS, or is it in Azure.
Customers have many applications running into the cloud, like SaaS applications, like the ERP system, CRM system, and in the cloud you can really spin up quite easily and quite fast some additional capacity whenever needed.
Freedom to invent is the story of my life. Nutanix really helps customers to build applications, to run their applications under their enterprise cloud and focus on their growth.
Nutanix gives my team more time to play and do the things they want to do, and time on weekends, no more alarms going back to work.
An opportunity to spend time with my family, honestly, and travel.
It gives me the ability to spend my free time with my kids. That's the most important part of everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nutanix VP and GM of IoT and AI, Satyam Vaghani.
Thank you. Welcome to day 2 of Nutanix .NEXT London. How are you guys doing? Did you guys have a good party last night? Yeah. I see the ones who really had a good party, the ones who are missing from the rafters back there, they probably fell off the edge. And for the rest of you, I'm going to take you on a journey to the edge and hopefully back. So the edge is this set of computers out in the real world, in factories, stores, airports, hospitals. And it's quite a sizable population. If you flew into this conference, you already saw the edge at work at the airport. Very soon, it's going to be in the cars you drive and the stores you shop at. And more than anything, edge computing to me represents a fundamental crossover point in digital transformation. As we think about it, we've spent a lot of time getting the core right, getting the core strong. Technology in public and private data centers. That's roughly 35 million nodes all around the world, including the ones we all run. And the next step is to digitize mission-critical business processes as they exist in the real world, on the edge. And in fact, there's roughly 3 billion computers already deployed in these enterprise IoT, enterprise edge situations. And it's time to stop ignoring this phenomena. In fact, these computers are so significant that they far outweigh the size of the data that is processed by the cloud today or tomorrow. Just last year, the cloud processed roughly 8 billion petabytes of data, 8 zettabytes. And in comparison, the edge did 32 times more, 256 billion petabytes. Very soon, it'll be 40 times more than the cloud. And so alongside the edge, the only way to process this amount of data is to use machines. And so alongside the edge, AI becomes an integral part of the digital transformation journey. In fact, the farther up the pyramid you are, the more differentiated your business is going to be. And so at Nutanix, we think the future of computing is a slightly more distributed model, where a lot of real-time data processing is done closer to where the data is generated, just because of the volume of data we are going to generate, because of autonomy reasons, because of compliance reasons, and so on, because of cost reasons, of course. And then the cloud still has a function. The cloud needs these insights that are created on the edge to be archived and to be used for long-term processing. So for example, for a self-driving car, whether a car is going to hit the car in front of it or not needs to be processed at the edge, real time. And how to create a model to drive the car better is all done in the cloud. And so we at Nutanix, 18 months ago roughly, started looking at this problem and the technology it takes to solve it. And there's 3 specific problems we found. Problem number 1 is it's hard enough to manage a single data center. And now we've got to manage hundreds or thousands of these micro data centers, and each of these is going to be mission critical. Number 2, the core personality of these applications is going to be very different. They are applications around AI, analytics, etc. And so the question is, what is the operating stack that can support these new generation of applications? And number 3, the edge doesn't exist in isolation. And so there was a need to create a data plane that seamlessly converges the edge and the cloud. And so that's what we started working on. And I'm proud to announce, as you saw yesterday, that we have now created a product around it. It's called Xi IoT. It is shipping. And in fact, one of our early users in Europe created a remarkable use case using this platform. Let's hear more about it. Join me in welcoming Olivier Malvezin, the Chief Digital and Information Officer for the Compass Group, France. Olivier? Welcome.
Good morning, Satyam.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be here with you this morning to introduce one of our main innovations in our industry. But before I do that, I introduce first what we do as a business. Compass is the world catering leader, and we serve millions of consumers in more than 50,000 locations, serving 5.5 billion meals every year. In order to do so, not only we have to serve good food, but we have also to make the consumer journey the best in our industry. We went through the consumer journey. We looked at where we would improve the service we render in our units, but it starts even before people go to our restaurants and even continues after. There are a few pain points that we need to solve. The main one being what we call the checkout process. So we had this idea. Imagine that you have a kiosk where consumers can take their food. It recognizes everything that is on the tray, and in a very simple click, they can check out what they have taken. Then we can focus back on our food. And this is what we developed over the past year and started with Nutanix as a partnership. Let's see the video.
This is fantastic, Olivier. I don't know if you guys saw what happened, but this is pretty much the equivalent of Amazon Go for restaurants. And you have more of that in production in the real world. You know, the technical US term is freaking awesome, but I'll kind of, Anyway, what did it take to create it?
Yeah, in order to achieve this, there were a number of challenges we had to overcome. First of all, in order to make it work, obviously there is a core AI component into it, so that we can recognize food of different kinds. We had also to make sure that we can do the checkout process with the different point-of-sale systems we have in multiple countries. and render this interface to our consumers so that it is simple and neat. So we had to find a platform hosted in our units, in our restaurants, so that it combined all of these applications into one platform. And with all of the evolution that go afterwards, we can manage the deployment, the maintenance, and also the software development behind it in order to improve the performance of that checkout system year on year. And that's where we came into a partnership with Nutanix, so that we can not only put all of those tools on the same system and platform, manage the deployment in an easy manner, but also monitor them so that it can be on all time. And I will let Satyam explain how it works.
Oh yeah, for sure. In fact, maybe we can do a cooking show here, no pun intended. But we are going to simulate a system very similar to what the Compass Group runs in the real world. And so I'm going to do a few cafeterias in Europe. The Compass Group has 55,000, but that's not my budget. And in every cafeteria, there's a few cameras which are looking out for the food tray presented. And then the video feed goes into a Xi Edge appliance, which is going to do AI inferencing logic to recognize the food that was purchased and present the user with a bill. And so that's the setup. Now, if we switch to the demo screens, please. I'm going to log in to the Xi IoT service as it is presented by Nutanix in the cloud. And out here, you see the setup. There's 15 edges connected. If I go into the details of the infrastructure, you will see that there are edges in different parts of Europe, Germany, France, Italy, UK, etc. And so now if I switch over to the applications view, you will see the three applications Olivier talked about. There is the core AI inferencing logic, which is the food ID application. There's the kiosk UI and the payment system. Now if we get into food ID, the details, you can see that the application is containerized. It runs as a set of 4 containers that all need to be deployed atomically at the edge. And right now, it's deployed at 5 different edge locations. Now I'm going to look at, if I go back and look at the deployments, you'll see that right now it's deployed in France. And so let's deploy it to, say, Germany and Italy, just for fun. And so I click Edit. Look out for all the German edges, select them. Look out for all the Italian edges, select them, and press Go. And so that's now in the list of edges. And click Next. This is the deployment specification of the application. This is compliant to Kubernetes YAML standards. So anybody who knows how to use containers, generally speaking, would know how to get onto the Xi IoT system. And as you can see, it's a pretty reasonably complex applications, various different containers in the mix. I click Update, and that's it. And so now the application's transparently being deployed to 10 different locations, the ones we selected. And so in effect, well, if I go to deployments, you will see that now the application's running across far more edges than earlier. So in effect, what we did was we took a reasonably complicated containerized application and spread it all over the planet. And the user doesn't need to worry about the security model to do that, or the resource management for that application, and so on. Another user can come in and deploy their own application. If they do so, the system takes care of multi-tenancy, make sure that the 2 applications are isolated from each other, and so on. This is a great start, and in fact, this kind of powers some of the early work we did with Compass. But this is not a transaction, it's a journey. And so now the journey is to make it better, make it more efficient. And so if you look at the core structure of the food ID application, the real business logic is about doing AI inferencing, recognizing the food that is presented. But to do that, a developer needs to pack in all the system's complexity that is needed to instantiate that business logic on the edge, how the AI models are deployed, how they are managed, how they are mapped to the GPU, how data is collected from the cameras, how it is stored on the edge, how the inferences are stored on the edge. And so the next question is, can we remove the part in orange? Can we eliminate the system's complexity from the developer's responsibility? And turns out the answer is yes, and this is the journey we are going to take together in the near future is we go to a different advanced concept of IoT. It's called data pipelines. And we are going to create the same application, Food ID. And so I'll start by creating a data pipeline, choose Born Express as my project, and name the pipe, say Food ID pipe. Ask the system to automatically get data for me. And this time, I'm going to collect data from, let's say, some edges outside of Europe, let's say UK, and then subject it to yeah. I thought it was not that funny, at least for some part of the audience. But we have a very international audience clearly out here. We'll subject it to some further processing. So we'll ask the system to use a transformation, a function. I'll get into that in a second. And convert the video to images, and then use the images, transform it by using the AI inferencing logic, and then dump the inferences on the edge in a real-time data service. And so I press create, and there you have it. The exact same application, constructed in a very different way, this time using functions. And you might be wondering where those functions came from. You can, just like how you inventory applications, which are containerized, you can also inventory functions. These functions can be written in different programming languages, and the system is open to supporting newer ones. And so in effect, what you saw was just by assembling a few Lego bricks of functions, we could create a pretty complicated IoT application. So this is a very rapid application development method going forward. And last but not the least, IoT is not an edge-only problem. And so, for example, in the Compass Group case, every now and then, the system gets it wrong. Right? The food cannot be identified. And so those are anomalies. And we need to send the anomalies to the cloud so that it can be used as further data for training, machine training. And to do that, we are going to create yet another data pipeline. Well, let me go back to the data pipelines view. And I'll start by, again, the Born Express project. This time around, I'm not going to source data from sensors. Instead, I'm going to build on the work I already did, which was the first data pipeline. I'll ask the system to source data from there and subject it to further transformation, in this case, anomaly detection. So it is going to look out for all the inferences that were below a certain confidence level. And I want the system to automatically forward it to the cloud. In this case, I can choose Amazon and a service inside Amazon, let's say S3. And I press create, and there you have it. And so now the system is processing all the data and also sending it to the cloud without all that coding need to be done explicitly. And so what you see is a further set of transformations to the system we created. So that, in effect, is IoT, folks. And this, by the way, is a UI one can make in the cloud to use the data that we forwarded. And so that's IoT. It is a system to centrally manage the lifecycle of infrastructure and applications at the planet scale. It is an extremely rich set of services, platform services at the edge, containers, functions, AI, data services, that can be used to build these applications in an extremely quick manner. And it is also a data plane that converges the edge and the cloud very seamlessly and gives you a choice of clouds to work with. But more than anything, this is the year 2018, very soon 2019. It is time to expand the scope of digital transformation beyond perspirational uses of technology. Technology to let a business survive. It is time to get to aspirational uses of technology, technology that can make a business thrive. And a lot of that is going to happen through innovation at the edge, just like in Olivier's case. And so my parting comment to you is it is time to be like Olivier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Olivier.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nutanix VP Products, Greg Muscarella.
Well, good morning. Thank you guys very much for coming here today. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about cloud-native applications out there. And a lot of you know that when I talk about cloud-native applications, I'm referring to apps that are built mostly on containers and organized into microservices. Right? They get their name because they were built around the capabilities and some of the challenges of building something that's native in the cloud or built to run on the public cloud. But despite the name, it turns out these are actually really interesting or really good architecture for writing and developing and deploying enterprise-grade applications, no matter where you might want to run it. And what's interesting, if you actually look at the data, and so this data is from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. It was just released in August, so it's pretty fresh data. And if you look at people where they're actually deploying their containers and where they're deploying Kubernetes, you actually see, even though it got its start in the cloud, you're seeing a lot of adoption on-prem. If I look at the Kubernetes, we're going to see more enterprise-grade applications. We have complex orchestration of things. Already up to 52% of people are deploying on-prem there. Of course, more are still deploying in the cloud. But what's interesting even more is if you look at people who've been doing this for a while, what I would call mature users of cloud-native applications. And as you have, and I define this as people who have a fleet size, so they're using applications that consume more than 1,000 machines. And so again, just focusing on the Kubernetes side, you'll see that actually the on-prem deployments for this group of people is a higher percentage. And they're using this to, again, speed up and accelerate their ability to deploy applications for their enterprises. And let's sort of break down the components of what it takes to build a cloud-native application, understand a little bit what goes into this and why people are doing it. So first, we all know about containers and Docker, right? So you have a really lightweight packaging system here that holds everything that you need to run your application, all its dependencies. And the really cool thing about this is, in addition to being lightweight and portable, it runs just about anywhere. If I have a container and I want to run it in AWS, or I want to move it over to GCP, or I want to put it in Azure, or I want to run it on-prem, it's going to run there without any changes. And that's actually a pretty fantastic thing, that we actually have a standard like that. But that's not enough. On top of containers, we actually need to have something that groups these containers together into something that looks like an application, so we can manage them a little bit more easily. Keeps these applications up and running, because look, things happen, hardware fails, things go down. We need something that's going to start that back up, something that maybe is going to scale it, and maybe deploy these containers where the resources are available to run them. And then again, the other thing that's really crucial here is we have something that's become a de facto standard. And that's Kubernetes. Kubernetes has been deployed and is available now in every major cloud, and actually most minor cloud providers, and every enterprise stack. So you have this portability of these runtimes with Docker, and you have now this ubiquitous availability of Kubernetes, and that makes this really interesting, and what I would call the last piece of the puzzle for a cloud-native stack. And let me examine some of the other pieces of this stack to kind of illustrate this point a little bit. So again, standard containers, standard orchestration engine. What else do we need to run interesting enterprise applications? You probably need to store data somewhere, right? And we have decades of experience around storage. And so we have object storage, we have file storage, we have block storage, all through industry standard APIs. I know if I'm writing NFS, I'm going to be able to take that to basically anywhere. Lots of implementations of these storage capabilities, right? So I can have my favorite open source tools, lots of commercial offerings for storage, and of course I can buy this as a service from a lot of cloud providers. Nutanix has its own offerings here as well. So storage is pretty well taken care of with standard APIs. The other piece I'm really going to need is databases. I got to store my data somewhere in a way that I can access. And these days you're looking at SQL and NoSQL databases. Same story as we had in storage. You've got a common set of clients. You have a lot of availability of both open source and commercial database offerings, and you can consume this as a service. Widely available across most public clouds. So if you bring this all together, what you have now is your cloud-native stack, right? So you have, starting at the bottom, you have your object file block storage, you have your databases, you have your compute environment, and then I've added in here, they don't have time to go into it, really your operation stack. You really want to be able to monitor both your systems and your applications and see what's going on there to create a good operational practice. Nutanix also has its cloud-native stack. So as I mentioned before, we provide the storage layer, which we're pretty famous for, right? So enterprise-class storage, including our newest product, Buckets, which provides S3-compatible object storage. You've heard hopefully a lot yesterday about Era, which will manage some of the most popular databases out there, from Oracle to MariaDB to Postgres and more coming. Yesterday, we announced the GA of Epoch. This is our SaaS monitoring and operations and visibility service. Works together with Prometheus to provide great operational capabilities to your cloud-native stack. And then on the compute side, you heard Sunil talk a little bit about a new product called Carbon. And that's what I want to talk a little bit more about today. Carbon is our Kubernetes-certified distribution that lets you orchestrate on top of a Nutanix platform. So what does it do? What is different about Carbon than other implementations or other distributions of Kubernetes you might see? Well, one thing it has is that famous, we just make it easy ingredient. One-click installation, and you are actually up and running with a highly available Kubernetes deployment. Seamless upgrades as Kubernetes evolves from quarter by quarter with new releases. Multi-cluster management, so you have clusters deployed around the world. You can manage them from a central interface. As I mentioned, monitoring with Prometheus built right in, and you can expand that with Epoch. And an untarnished Kubernetes experience, right? So when you use our Kubernetes, it's just like using any other Kubernetes that you might have out there. So no custom workflow, no custom tools, nothing new to learn. You can take your training and apply it here within Carbon. And of course, it's backed by our famous support organization. So when you need help, we're there to stand behind it. So if you add all this up together, and if you listen to everything I said about, hey, here's a stack, and we've got standard compute environment, portable things, APIs that work, et cetera, what I should be able to do if I put this to the test is I should be able to take a pretty complex enterprise-grade application, and without changing any code, and without cheating by putting some sort of abstraction layer on top of my favorite public cloud or something like that, and with the exact same workflow, I should be able to take that application and deploy it, say, on AWS using Elastic Kubernetes Service, using RDS for their database services, and using S3, and then deploy it on top of Nutanix instead. So to help me prove this out and see if I'm actually have any credibility here, I'm going to ask Maria to join me. Thanks for helping me out here. OK, so Maria's going to take us through an application that's deployed on AWS.
OK, so good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And today I will show you how easy it is to deploy a containerized application into the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud Platform in a private data center. And for that, I will use exactly the same code I would use in a public cloud. So now, we have the application already deployed in AWS. It is an e-commerce application where you can buy a lot of cool stuff, right? So we've got caps, T-shirts, pillows.
I could use that pillow. I'm still suffering from some jet lag.
Yeah, sure. But what about sunglasses for this sunny day that we've got?
Absolutely.
So, at the end, it is a common web page like the ones you are used to, right? But let's take a closer look to how this application is built. For that, I will try to give you a general overview without getting lost into so many technical details. So for building this application, I have deployed some containerized services into a Kubernetes cluster. But you are going to see it better in Epoch. Nutanix Epoch generates live maps of your applications and provide visibility into the relationship between the different components. So for example, here you can see your application, the web service. We have also a database service. And if you click in one of them, you will get further information about network statistics and so on. So in a Kubernetes environment, we can define some manifest files, some YAML files. And in those files is where we are going to describe how our application is going to be. So we have some of them to develop this application, but let's review just a couple. So for example, here I have the Django YAML file that I've used to deploy the application in AWS. So Django is the web framework I've used to create the web service. Replicas is the number of pods that are going to be created. Here is the Docker image that we are using. It has been passed to a container registry in Docker Hub for continuous integration and continuous delivery. Here, we are defining the Postgres service that is going to be the backend database for our web service. And here, we are using AWS Database as a Service offering, RDS. And here is the RDS YAML file. So here, we will describe the service for the database.
So everything in our application is defined in these files, and this is how Kubernetes knows to start up and connect all these different components?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we are using, yes, another kind of storage. We are using also object storage to store the unstructured content, like images and things like that. And in the public cloud scenario, we are using Amazon S3. So now that we have reviewed how the application is built in AWS, let's compare to how we will deploy it in the private data center. So here I have the file I will use to deploy the application on site. They look exactly the same, right? But let's compare them. So as you can see, the only change that needs to be made is the object storage endpoint. Because for the on-site deployment, we are using Nutanix buckets instead of Amazon S3.
So all I did is I took my code, and before I had it pointed at S3, and all I'm saying is you're not going to find the data at S3 anymore. You're going to find it in buckets, and all I did was change the endpoint?
Exactly. Well, there is another change, although the YAML files are the same, because for the database service in the on-site deployment, we are going to use ERA. ERA is the Nutanix feature for database as a service offering. So once again, I have here the database service defined. So now that we have understood how the application is created, so let's deploy it.
Let's do it.
So for that, I'm using kubectl. Kubectl is a command line tool for Kubernetes. So kubectl config, get context. And I have configured 2 different contexts. The context is the configuration information I need to communicate with each unique Kubernetes cluster. So in here, I have 2 different contexts. The first one is located in AWS, and is the one I used before to deploy the application. And the other one is a Kubernetes cluster located in a Nutanix platform. It has been deployed using Karbon. As you all know, Karbon simplifies the deployment and management of Kubernetes. So as is stated by the asterisk, we are now connected to AWS, so let's switch context and connect to the on-site environment. So kubectl config, use context.
So you're just switching from the first cluster that you're talking to in AWS, now you're just using the command line to switch to the Nutanix cluster.
Okay, so now we are connected to the on-site environment. First thing, let's check that there is no service running on the cluster. So only the Kubernetes service itself is running. So let's now apply the manifest that we saw before to actually apply the application. So the first one to be applied would be the database. So kubectl apply. Here, we are making the database service available, although the database server itself was previously created. So the next manifest would be the buckets. For the object storage, we are using Nutanix buckets. And the last one would be the Django YAML file. OK. Here we are. So we have all our services created. Let's check that they have created. So get services. Here we are. We have the Kubernetes service that we had before, the database service, and the Django service. So now that we have the services running, how can we access the application? So we just need to start the web page. To access the application, I need to do it using the IP address of any of the Kubernetes node within the cluster. So I will use one of them. And to access the application, I need to do it through the port number that has been exposed. And voila, here is our application up and running.
Fantastic. Maybe I will get those sunglasses then.
OK, so you still want your sunglasses? OK, it would be
right.
£6.
Excellent.
OK, so just to finish, let's review the epoch map of our application. I filter here the services that are running currently into the Nutanix platform. So as you can see, they look the same. So we have the application pod, and we have our database and object storage. So it is as simple as that to deploy a containerized application into the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud Platform. And as you could see, using a real cloud-native stack makes the user experience identical for both environments, the public cloud and the private data center.
That's fantastic. So I want to reiterate that, right? So no code change. It was the exact same container image that was used to deploy in Amazon as that was used to deploy in Nutanix. Instead of using RDS, we're using Era to manage a Postgres database, and instead of using S3, we're using buckets. Again, no code change, complete compatibility. So what we've done here is we've brought you that public cloud experience that your developers yearn for, that lets them develop and deploy applications very rapidly, and we've given you the ability to run that in your own data centers. So let's just review here real quick. We have compute, database, storage, and operations all available for you to buy or try today. And if you'd like to learn more, I'd encourage you to check out the URL that's there on the screen, nutanix.com/cn. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nutanix Executive Vice President, Inder Sidhu.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? How'd you like that demo? Good? All right. Well, you'll be happy to know that the technical portion of the keynote is now over. We're going to get into some more fun topics now. In fact, for the next 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, we are going to be talking about fashion, entrepreneurship, and technology. Fashion, entrepreneurship, and technology. Now, technology clearly is something all of you know. You love it, and you're good at it. Fashion, not so much. Especially when I look around the room, I know, not so much. But, you know, I mean, just take a look at me. I'm someone who, my 21 and 23-year-old daughters often refer to me as a fashion disaster, a walking fashion disaster. So I'm sure I could certainly use some help in that regard. Certainly men, in particular, when it comes to fashion, can use some help. So the way I look at it is I divide men into sort of two big segments. And I'm no marketing genius over here, so this is not based on any real research. But I divide men into two segments. Well, there's the first segment, which is those who, you know, they're pretty classy, but they're busy people. They don't have any time, or frankly, maybe even any inclination to shop for themselves. I call them the Dheeraj Pandey segment. Then there's those who love to shop for themselves, but have absolutely no taste. I call that the Sunil Poti segment, right? So we got these two segments, you know, as they say, you know, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. But moving along, so what we want to do today is reassure you that no matter which segment you're in, whether you hate shopping or whether you have no taste or class in terms of picking out your clothes, we actually are going to introduce you to a company that is going to provide help in either of those two segments. Fear not, help is on the way with the help of a company called Outfittery.com. Take a look. What do you think? Good? Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder of Outfittery.com, Europe's very own Anna Alex. Anna, come on out, please. So Anna, welcome. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great, excellent. So Outfittery, tell us about Outfittery. What inspired you to start this company, and where did it come from, this passion to create this new company?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So me and my co-founder, we were actually traveling. We were in New York, and a friend of ours booked a personal shopper there. And he was so amazed by this whole experience that we started thinking about how we can bring this personal shopper experience online and combine it with e-commerce. And that was the idea. And since then, we made it our mission, actually, to rethink retail, because I think retail hasn't changed for a long time. There was no real invention in retail for a long time. So actually, all the principles that you know from the offline world were just transformed online. So it was like more is better was always a principle. And that brings you to a customer experience when you're, for example, searching for a light blue shirt on Amazon. It gives you back 2,000 results.
I've certainly gone through that.
And out of these 2,000 results, you now need to see which item is perfect for you, which fit, which material, which color, which size, and so on and so forth. So we definitely felt this is not a pleasant experience, not a good customer experience. And we wanted to make shopping fun again, and even for men.
Oh, really? Even for men. So now, Outfittery, does it cater to both men and women, or is it only to men? Or how did you decide which market segment to go after?
Yes. So we are focusing purely on men, which because we actually believe that the menswear space is an underserved market. So most of the online offers are actually targeting the women, and men might be as well even better and maybe a little easier target group.
Oh, okay, that's actually true. So underserved
when
market.
When it comes to fashion.
When it comes to fashion, easier to serve an underserved market. I can definitely relate to that. So, so what's this box that you have over here? What's
Yeah, so I brought you an Outfittery box with two outfits for you.
Me? Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
That's cool. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. I got to make sure when I get back, I'll try them out. But,
no. I won't let you get away that easily now. How about trying these? Have a look.
Well, we should take a look. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what's in the box. Okay.
So
let's see. Looks like we have a card here with a picture of a person on it.
Exactly.
Looks pretty spiffily dressed.
That is Dennis. He is your personal stylist. And he put together...
Nice. It's got a note personalized for me. So this is from my personal stylist.
Exactly. And he put together this box for you.
Oh, for me, okay.
With two outfits, one a little bit more casual and one a little bit more chic.
Okay, let's take a look what we got here. So, looks like this is the first one. A little more casual, little hoodie, blue, gray pants. What do you guys think? Cool? Yeah? All right. Let's put that one here. Let's see what else we got over here.
Yeah, that's a little bit more chic.
Which one do you guys like better? Number 1 or number 2? Number 1? Number 2? Whoa. Okay, we're going to keep number 2.
Great.
And
I would love to see it on you right now.
What
do you think?
Okay.
Maybe we can arrange something here for you to
What's wrong with this? I bought this suit 15 years ago. It's got nice little plates over here, and it's white shit. It works. It works on all occasions. You're not possibly going to actually ask me to. Okay.
So look, they have a screen here, so you can change and try it right now.
Okay. I'll be right back. This may not turn out to be a happy ending, but let's try it.
Very good. So while Inder is changing, I can tell you a little bit more about the process of Outfittery and how it works. So as a customer, you actually come to the website and you give us some more information about yourself and about your style. So what are you wearing at work? What would you wear in your free time? But as well information about how old do you feel, which is a very important information for our stylists. And then, with all this information, one of our 100, you get actually matched to your personal stylist who fits your style best. And then this stylist, one of our 150 stylists, is putting together a box for you with 2 outfits normally, and it is 100% personalized, so we've never sent out the same box twice, and you get it right to your doorstep and choose what you like. So that's the principle. Inder, how's it going in there?
I'm working on it,
Okay, I'm very excited to see what's coming out there. So we're a company, we're based in Berlin, we have another office in Zurich, and we started the company 6 years ago, and by now we dressed 600,000 men throughout the whole of Europe. So Inder is now soon one of them, and I'm very curious to see. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Good.
Working on it. All right.
Okay.
Are you ready for number 6,000?
We're ready for you.
601. All right.
Woo.
What do you think?
It looks amazing. Cool. It looks
They
really
even
good.
have the socks. They match the colors over there. Very cool, very cool. Okay.
Wait, let me help you with the shirt here. Yeah, that's really good. I like it.
What do you guys think? Was my suit better or this? All those who think I was looking better earlier. Oh, come on, serious. All those who think it's a little bit better now. All right. I think the verdict is in, Anna. I think the verdict is in. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Outfittery. I think I'm sold on this idea. So, Anna, tell me a little bit about, you were able to bring together fashion, which is a very emotional thing, and technology, which is a very, well, perhaps a little less emotional. How did you sort of blend? What is the role of technology in your company?
Yes, so technology always played a huge role in our company, and from the beginning, actually, we combined like the machine learning and the machine intelligence with the human intelligence. So we heavily support our stylists, our assistants, and via artificial intelligence and algorithms. So this is definitely a very important role, and we call it actually kind of our flywheel. So data is the thing in our whole logic and strategy, which is improving our service. Because the more customers we have, the more data we have about our customers, and the better our algorithms and recommendations get. And then the more customers we have, the more data, and so on and so forth. So it's a really, really important part of our strategy.
So it's human and machine, and then do you also do things like matching of like outfits, or maybe matching of stylists, all of that kind of stuff?
Yes, but we're not using data only in the recommendations of the items.
Yeah.
But we're actually using it throughout the whole customer journey.
Right.
So when you come to the site, you get matched to the stylist that fits you best. But we as well determine via data which is the best communication channel for you and how do we talk to you actually. And we're as well giving our buying department recommendations which items to order and to reorder.
Okay. And now, sometimes you can attach little RFID tags and so on to clothing, sort of track them in the value chain, kind of like what Satyam was talking about with IoT and sensors and all that. That's not something you're doing right at this point?
We're looking into that. But
you're looking into that.
Yes.
Okay, so that could be potentially a logistics benefit
Yes.
that you could enhance with technology.
What we did is we developed a man scan that was using the Kinect technology.
Man scan, is that what
we called it man scan.
Man scan.
So it was a Kinect technology in order to determine your sizes.
Okay.
Yeah, that
All
worked
right,
quite
cool.
well.
That's
So
great.
we're experimenting with that.
It's interesting. It seems to me, Anna, that this is it's a very customer-centric approach. And one of the things that Nutanix, as all of you know, is very well known for is we're a company that focuses on our customers. I mean, 3,500 of you, as opposed to focusing on our competitors. What's your view on that, customers versus competitors? Where do you come out as you were building this company?
Yeah. So I definitely like to think of ourselves as being very customer focused. And there's a great quote from Jeff Bezos. He said, like, when you're competitor focused, at some point you overtook your competitor, and then you have no one to push you anymore. But when you're customer focused, you can be sure you always have someone to push you even further and improve and develop your products. And this is very much the philosophy that we live inside. As well, and you can see this, for example, when we came together to formulate our vision for the company. We said we want to be the #1 of menswear in Europe, for menswear in Europe.
#1 for menswear in Europe.
Yeah,
That
and
was
then
the
we said,
mission.
but wait, what does the customer has from that? So it is a very competitor-centric vision.
Yeah.
So we changed the whole vision and said, we want to enable our customers to unlock their true style. And we changed the whole vision from a competitor to customer.
To customer, to unlock their own. Now, do you have, what do you do with customers? Some of them are going to be very happy and very satisfied, but other customers might not be so happy and somewhat unsatisfied. How do you view that sort of?
So I actually think that this is the biggest gift for a company that can be there. So a constructively unsatisfied customer is pushing you forward, is pushing you to improve. And this is super, super important for you as a company.
Oh, okay.
So everybody should really embrace and find these customers.
That's actually a good quote. I have to remember that. The constructively dissatisfied customer is the biggest gift you can have.
Yes.
That's actually very good, very profound. Yeah. All right, so talk to us a little bit, Hannah, about building the company. Because when you're starting out and you're a company, you have an idea, it seems like a crazy idea to some, and many people will doubt it. And then you start building the company, and you have a few employees, and then a few more, and the company gets bigger. What role does culture play in terms of shaping the values of the company and the long-term success of the company? And how did you think about it?
Yeah. So culture and company culture is actually my favorite topic, and I think it's the biggest underestimated topic in business. It is so important to get the company culture right, and best from the very beginning. You can do a lot of things right, and you can do a lot of things wrong as well. One thing that we always focused on was really embracing feedback as well internally, and seeking feedback, and seeking as well critical feedback in order to improve. Because each and everyone does have mistakes and flaws, and you need to just work on it and be open and honest about it. And I think this is as well something that resonates very well with maybe female employees more, because we do actually.
Well, that's actually interestingly you mentioned female employees, because gender diversity is one of the things that we try really hard at Nutanix, and actually tech companies are historically not known for having as much gender diversity and so on. But I know you've embraced that very proactively at Outfittery. Yes. And how's the results turned out in terms of your participation from a gender perspective?
So I'm very proud to say that we have like a 50-50 share within the whole company. And especially as well in the management and the board, we have even 60%.
How about that? 50% representation of female employees and 60% at the board and senior levels. That's something to be very proud of. Thank you. Awesome, awesome. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, I could just imagine myself wanting to start a company like this a few years ago, but I'd be very concerned, and perhaps people in our audience might have that feeling, which is, gosh, in retrospect, 6 years later, it seems like a great idea that's worked. But if you're sitting doing your regular job and getting a regular paycheck, going out on a limb and doing something like this might feel really risky. You're going to change your whole life and so on. How did you had a regular job before you started this, how did you deal with the risk element of making the plunge and really going after it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, in the end, it's all about taking risks, right? Being an entrepreneur, but you can as well take a risk internally within a corporate. And for me, I personally always used the trick. I kind of time boxed the risk a little bit for me.
Time boxed, what does that mean?
So that means I became clear that the decision now, if I should start my own company or not, is not a decision I'm taking for life, but I'm giving myself like a year to just try it. And I asked myself, what is the worst thing that can happen, right? To just give me this year and try it and then decide if it's going as expected and as I wish or not.
That's great. That makes it so much more comprehensible and so much more manageable and so on. So some great lessons here, Anna, from your journey about picking a segment that is underserved, satisfying their needs with a very unique, forward-looking, technology-centric platform, caring about customers rather than caring too much about competitors, and taking risks by time boxing it. So a lot of very, very good management lessons and lessons that all of us could imbibe into our daily roles. Last question for you, Anna, is we have many people in the audience here from all over Europe, Middle East, Africa, even the United States. Where can our audience go to try Outfittery?
Yeah, so this is the bad news that I have. It's not yet available in the UK. We are in 8 other countries, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland, yeah, Luxembourg, Belgium, Scandinavia, basically, Netherlands, I forgot, but not yet in the UK. But I don't want to close with such a bad news. So the good news is, but you need to keep this for yourself. Yeah. The good news is that might change very soon.
That might change very soon, so be on the lookout. If you're in the UK, you might actually have an option to buy your clothes from Outfittery. Very good, very good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Anna. Appreciate it. Wonderful thoughts.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You look amazing, really.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
This concludes our morning keynote session. Please proceed to breakout sessions, which will begin at 10:35 a.m. Join us at 1:45 for the afternoon keynote.